All right, guys, we're here for another Whale Club Hangout, episode 15. It's been quite a while since we last had Constantine from TradingView on. He is both the co-founder and chief technical officer there. We'll be going over a lot of what they've updated since our last Hangout almost 7 months ago, as well as a lot of the new features that they're coming out with that should improve our trading and our technical tools that we can utilize. So, Constantine, thanks for joining us on the show. Why don't you give a little background on how TradingView was founded, your background specifically, and then kind of, what you see as like a 40,000 foot view vision of TradingView in the trading space.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much for the intro. And my name is Constantine. I'm co-founder of TradingView, and I'm a CTO. So I'm responsible for all the technologies, for the development process, and all the related things. So we founded TradingView about, I believe, maybe 3.5 years ago, maybe even more actually. The background is that previously we built a trading platform, a desktop trading platform called MultiCharts. And it's really huge and really powerful trading platform with automated trading, backtesting, portfolio trading, like strategy optimization, all this kind of tools. And based on our experience, as soon as we found the possibility to build something similar in the web, so we did it. So we used our background and our knowledge to build something cool in the web. And this is what TradingView about. Speaking about our vision, our high-level vision, I would say that the plan is to build a fully functional trading platform plus social network in the web. Meaning this, I'm confident that in the nearest future we will implement such features as automated trading, and we will definitely need to implement trading, manual trading first to make it possible. So, and also we almost completed, so we are internally testing now backtesting. So as soon as we implement backtesting, this would be a first huge step to automated trading. We will need to implement scanner, for example. So our biggest goal for now is pretty straightforward, and unfortunately it's time and resources consuming. So we are going to implement all these advanced trading features you might be able to find in professional trading platforms like Thinkorswim or NinjaTrader or whatever. So we are moving all this in the cloud and in the web. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to weigh in there, and I think, especially for our community that's Bitcoin specific, we don't really have any, options as far as the listed space that can currently go to Thinkorswim or NinjaTrader to do some of that more automated trading. So you would really be the first in class to introduce that at the Bitcoin level, the Bitcoin trading level specifically.
Yeah, absolutely, and it would be really great for us to be the first for the Bitcoin place. And I personally, I already told on the previous Hangout that I'm really big fan of Bitcoin and Bitcoin community, and unfortunately, I do not always have time to track all the trends and all the news from Bitcoin Vault. So I really need this type of hangouts and communication with you guys in order to understand what's going on, what is required, what's happening in the Bitcoin market, what are the trends, and what specific features you guys need and looking for. Because I do understand that like stock market or forex market probably pretty different from Bitcoin, from like a list of features you might need for trading.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've really seen since our last Hangout takeoff is, the move from just a very simple spot market to some of the more advanced products like futures. I know you guys have brought on it's all three contracts of the OKCoin futures. I think you have 796 in there, and that's really been a big hit with the traders as far as applying the TradingView suite to the charts of those futures products, because in a lot of cases they're even more liquid than spot now. And I see going forward, it's a slow process. Bitcoin's been very sideways lately, but we're starting to see more advanced products. Sam from BitMEX is here. They have a B-vol product which tracks historical volatility. Sam, I don't know if you want to weigh in a little bit on this, but maybe you could give a little color to Constantine as far as your view of the ecosystem of more products coming out.
Yeah, we're a user of the TradingView charts as well on the site. As most of you know, pretty much it seems like half or more of the Bitcoin exchanges out there are using the TradingView charts, especially the aggregators like Coinigy. So they're a big part of how we do the UI, and as more complicated tradable instruments come out there, it's more and more necessary to actually have something more advanced like TradingView, where you can do the kinds of indicators and overlays you want instead of something more vanilla like high charts or high stocks. I have a couple of technical questions for Constantine, but I'd rather pause it here and maybe get to that later on.
Okay. As far as we made this this Google Doc, and I'm going to take it a little bit out of order because I want you. Probably one of the biggest sticking points that I've been annoyed with lately is the no cross-device ability anymore. I get the screen of death where I have to reconnect. Can you go over a little bit of why you guys have decided to do that? I think it might be like an abuse kind of feature where you didn't want people sharing accounts and such like that. I have a lot of contention with that, and some of probably the people in here have something to voice as that as well. But Constantine, tell us why you've implemented that recently.
Yeah, you're perfectly right. So there are two main reasons of this. So the one is the biggest one, that we must do it based on the exchanges requirements. And by exchanges, I mean definitely official exchanges like stock exchanges and futures like CME, NYSE, NASDAQ. This is definitely not related to Bitcoin. And the other aspect is that we actually do not want. So we found out that some users buy Pro account and they share these Pro accounts with their friends. So we found out that some of the Pro account, single Pro account, used on like several dozens of machines. And on the one hand, I do understand that it's inconvenient for you guys, it's inconvenient for users, and this is like an issue for usability and user experience. On the other hand, you should understand that we spend a lot of resources and money to build this product. And we actually take only like from $10 to $20 per month to generate some revenue in order to pay salaries to the developers, to pay for hosting or whatever. And some of the people just do not understand this, so they buy one account and give it to everybody. So we are trying to somehow to protect ourselves versus this behavior, and I think it's a like pretty good explanation. So we are trying to find this balance between user experience and usability and monetization.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not here arguing on like an entrenched side of the fence. I do understand where you're coming from. I think there may be a little bit of a middle ground of granting it up to 3 devices or something to that effect. Because I mean, I have a perfect example of where I have it on my desktop, my laptop, and on my phone, and you know, then I would go to bed. You know, Bitcoin being a 24-hour market, have my alert set up. I'd inadvertently get up in the middle of the night and check my Bitcoin wisdom on my phone, but TradingView would think I was logging in on that device. So I actually missed alerts going off from my desktop when I was sleeping. It's kind of a real specific case, but I think, you know, there might be some room for middle ground of not just having it confined to one specific device, maybe 3. Obviously, I totally understand the people that are going to the abusive stage of giving it out to 12 people and stuff like that. That's certainly something you should rein in on.
Yeah, this is a really good point. And what is extremely important for me personally here, that you're telling me the real use case. So because the real use case is really helpful. So for your specific case, it totally makes sense for us to allow use TradingView on the desktop plus the phone or device or whatever. So this is what we definitely should do, in my opinion. So from this perspective, you are totally right. On the one additional note on this topic. So recently we added a possibility to buy additional connections, and we made it really low cost. So you actually can add additional connection for $5 per month, and it would be something like, I can't remember, but like 40 or 35 per year. So theoretically, you already have a possibility to help us and as well as extend your connection. So this is an option as well.
And I just want to bring in Pip Foundry. Do you have some additional commentary to this? Pip Foundry? Your mic not working?
I'm guessing he's not there.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Constantine, it's good to talk to you. Thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. And I'd just like to kind of weigh in on what we were talking about with the users per account or per IP. And from a developer perspective, from somebody that writes Pine and enjoys that and then is releasing something on your platform, I really appreciate you locking that down. But I do want the usability to be there. And I've encountered the same sort of slight problems that Vix has talked about. And just a quick, from just one person to another, a easy technical fix would be to perhaps restrict per IP, maybe 3 or 5 or several devices per IP. I don't know if that's within the regulatory framework that you have to deal with, but that would solve it from a usage standpoint, and then allow developers to retain their their monetization from kind of a locking down on the sharing. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another option we are considering. So we will do some of this for sure. So we will either limit it not by number of devices, but by IP address, or maybe we will allow to run it on the desktop plus couple of devices. So we will definitely do any of this because we do receive like pretty a lot of complaints.
That's great. Thank you so much.
And just to bring Flibber in here, I know he was having most of this focus over what the issues with the sidebar. Flibber, do you want to provide some clarity on that?
Well, are you talking about the indicators? Oh yeah, the sidebar on the actual TradingView where you have the tools on the left-hand side, where you draw, select your drawing tools. Yeah, it was just disappeared for a long time, but I mean, it seems to be back now. So that seems okay, but I mean, we mentioned some other things before, like like when you have like say like a typical chart, you might have like SCMR trends on there. Okay, there's one. You stick on say 3 dynamic levels. There's 3. Then you stick on maybe 2 moving averages. There's another 4, 5. Stick on RSI. Maybe you want to put a Willy indicator on as well. 6, 7. So you have 7 things, and let's just say you want to do 4 charts per screen, on the split screen view. And all of a sudden, whatever chart you click on, you can't actually do anything on the chart drawing-wise because you've got all these indicators loaded up on the left-hand side. And I said before that really you should be able to toggle those and just say, look, okay, I've got all my indicators, I'm happy with them all. I don't need to see them every time I click on the chart. Can I just kind of like that little list on the left-hand side, can I just minimize it and just get it out of the way and give me some more real estate back on the chart? That's what I wanted to see. It's small, but I don't know how much use any big birds, it's something, isn't it?
Okay, so quick as to the toolbar. So this is pretty stupid and issue. The thing is that it's not a major technical issue or whatever. The explanation is really simple. Recently we released 4 or 5 new drawing tools. So you should see it now in the toolbar. And for the drawing toolbars, we use all the toolbars. 2 images to this sprite, new icons. It actually display empty toolbar because of the caching issues in the browser. So what you should do to fix this is simply click Ctrl F5, so to reload your page without cache. And in the nearest future, so right now we are moving to the SVG icons, so to the vector icons. So really soon you will not notice this issue anymore because we will move everything to the new format of the icons. So like, again, this is nothing major, just stupid issue with caching in browser.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, as to the possibility so let me just confirm. As to the indicators, you're speaking about the possibility, like to make, instead of display all the studies one under other, you would like to display them as a tabs, or what is this about?
I think.
Go ahead, Erlog.
John.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Flibber was partially addressing how the length of all the descriptions in the top left can make it hard to draw in the top left when you have a lot of indicators. I just wanted to point out to Flibber that you can actually toggle that in the settings. You can remove the parameters, you can remove the title, you can remove a lot of it. It's not.
Oh, really?
It's not.
Okay.
It's a little bit cumbersome because they're broken out into separate radio buttons, and you'd have to go into the settings every time you wanted to change it. So it would be nice to just have like a collapse button to just collapse all the indicator descriptions in the top left. That would also make it easier to work too, because then you could, like, some people don't want to show those things when they post a chart, so you could just collapse them, print the chart, and then uncollapse them to go back to work.
Yeah, this sounds really great. So I'm experiencing the same issue, but I didn't think about it. So we definitely need to move all or some of these options to the context menu, probably to the right-click menu, or to the indicator menu to make it easily accessible. Because yeah, in the options, we released these options probably 2 months ago, but as we can see, not everybody even aware about this. So we should make it more obvious.
And I had one more comment going back a little bit. We were talking about the multiple devices. I do agree that allowing more devices per IP would be good. And even if that somehow breaches some of your contract terms with exchanges, would it be possible then to maybe have the detection be dependent on the ticker you're looking at? So if you're looking at Bitcoin, there's no limit.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we will consider this as well. We just it's a little bit like overcomplication. So just because of the pressure from exchanges, we haven't had the chance to consider all these possibilities, but we will definitely do.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we initially in the intro of the program we talked about some of the new features that you've come out with, and one of the really big ones has been the alerts. And I've really, I kind of almost took it for granted when I first introduced you, but the alert stuff is like huge, and I've been utilizing that quite a bit. The push to email notifications, as well as what you have on the platform proper, has been really good in development. So we've seen some of the custom indicators. A lot of us here are familiar with Danny's product, Spider Crusher, the SEMR trends. Is there going to be some very specific ways we can do alerts for, say, a blue candle is printing or has closed on the 4 hour or something to that effect? It's much more specific. Is that something that's also in the pipe?
Yeah. Actually, this feature is already in development, so we already working on this. Technically, what we will do, we will add alert-specific functions right into the Pine. So basically, you will be able to create and manage any custom alert right from the Pine script. And we did receive requests to make like additional conditions or templates for the alerts, and we did receive a lot of different requests. But in my opinion, as soon as we add alerts functions into the Pine, this will definitely solve most of the issues. So you will receive all the flexibility you need.
Great. Yeah, I have to really just commend your group with the alerts rollout. It's been something that I was long looking forward to, and it's come, and I utilize it all the time. So thanks a lot. I just wanted to bring Sam in here. Sam, you have a specific technical question?
Yeah. So we use the embeddable charting library, which is pretty similar to what's on the site, with a couple of differences, a couple of things stripped out. And one problem we've been wrestling with a bit, and I'm sorry to bring it up here because it's in the issue tracker, but it seems like it's being ignored. We're global, right? Of course, Bitcoin is global, and there's a really bad time zone issue in all versions of the charting library, even the newest ones, where actually we have to employ a significant numbers of cumbersome hacks to get the time zones correct on the charts. You get a lot of confusion between your users because it's difficult to do and it's error prone. So sometimes you'll end up, with all the times are wrong on the chart, which people don't like. And then time zones like actually GMT -7, which is like Thailand, just doesn't exist. So if you live in that time zone, you cannot get a chart with the correct times on it. I was wondering if you guys had any progress on that, or if you're aware of it, if anything's being done, because it's significantly affecting usability for our users.
Yep, thank you very much for the report. So first of all, I strongly believe that this issue has been already fixed in the development and stable version. Because yeah, I do remember reports about this, and probably it was fixed. But to be absolutely sure, could you please send me the link via the private message on TradingView to this issue you reported, and I'll check it additionally for you. But it should be fixed like 90%.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I have a more general issue about the difficulty of setting it correctly in general. I realized the GMT, sorry, it was +7, that's Thailand, issue was pretty specific, but there's sort of a more general issue with how it's handled in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Please send me the link, and
okay.
I'll make sure that, yeah.
And also, sorry to bring this up as well, but we've been in contact a number of times about adding our data to your platform, and just wondering if there's anything else that needs to be done with that. We've put in a request, I think, since last September. And,
yeah. So just for your understanding, so what's going on in this matter? And probably you can help me to manage this. But here is an issue. So there are a lot of Bitcoin exchange, and we do receive like a couple of new requests for the connection per week. So sometimes we receive like 10 requests to connect the new Bitcoin exchange per month. And as you understand, for us, like, it's additional work and it's additional resources, because each exchange need to be connected, each data feed need to be monitored. We do receive like bug reports and issues from each exchange. We spend time on each of these communication. And from this perspective, to be frankly, I do not quite understand which of these exchanges are really important for the community, and which of them can be just ignored, and we can save some time. So from this perspective, probably we can do something together, like create online poll or whatever, Google Doc with priorities, just in order to understand, for me specifically, what is the priorities from this connection. So do we need to connect this and ignore this, or vice versa? This would be really helpful for me, because at this moment I do not quite understand how to manage this, and I have nobody to ask about these priorities. So do you think we can manage this together?
Sure, this is something we can definitely help with. On top of that, I think it's not at all unreasonable to ask exchanges to do a bunch of the work themselves. Like, for instance, you have the UDF specification that you use for the embeddable charts, and I think it would be totally reasonable to require exchanges to send you that code, or to have endpoints available so you can just hook them up. Like Bitcoin Charts does something very similar. They have an API specification, and you don't get listed unless you implement that exactly.
Well, actually, yeah, this is a good point. And at this moment, we do support the same API, the same format, which Bitcoin Charts supports. So as long as you use this format, we can connect you pretty quickly. But even so, it takes, like, if we connect like 5 different exchanges at the same time, so it takes time, and it would be great, like, to somehow choose the priorities for each of them. That would be helpful.
And can I add there? I mean, we've maybe you can provide a little clarity on this as well. I think the Bitcoin space up until now, and it still definitely remains this way, is a lot of these exchanges have really shitty APIs, but we're starting to see the use of Fix come in. Is that something that's going to benefit you as a charting platform in order to get that data? Is that a more standardized format versus what you're seeing currently?
Well, definitely. So this format is a standard, and I think that it definitely makes sense to start moving in this direction. So absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly seen those kind of developments go on in the industry where we're seeing a player like Alpha Point that's handling the entire back end of Bitfinex now, have your standardized broker-dealer, API-related stuff, high-speed binary, and predominantly Fix. So I'm hoping that that kind of smooths out the bumps for not just us getting the data and being able to chart it, not having a lot of those issues in regards, but also that it makes the onboarding process easier for you. Because I'm sure, like you said, every exchange that pops up, if they have any good market research, they're going to want to get onto TradingView. So I don't doubt that you're inundated with those requests, and yes, also having the community basically voice what's important and what's not is pretty good too. But I'm hoping at least some of that standardization helps you out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is extremely good point, because Fix is actually not only about market data, but it's also about trading. And Fix is a protocol which we can use to execute right from the browser. So, important topic, and we are working on like trading from different aspects, including automated trading, manual trading, paper trading, all this stuff. So if Bitcoin exchanges will start supporting Fix, so this would be a huge step towards standardization, and not only data feed but also trading, because we are going to support all kinds of trading, and this would be a huge advantage for us to integrate it properly and efficiently.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's it all aligns then to bring in Fix for, like you said, the charting, and then the advanced capabilities of actually trading directly from your browser platform. So that's really cool. I just wanted to bring in one point. We did discuss on the last Hangout that the mobile version was having issues. I want to say that's basically all cleared up. I mean, some people may have a little bit of stuff to quibble over, but really I actually love the mobile charts now. So I just wanted to say that. Go ahead, Flipper.
I had one issue with the mobile one. I did put it in the doc. It was that if you're viewing like a chart which is like a split window, when I'm viewing it on the mobile, yeah, it's way better, so much better. But I couldn't see the ability to, when you've got like two charts on one screen, and you kind of like make the one big, and then you restore it back, and then you can make the other one big. I couldn't find that button. So maybe it's not on there, maybe it is, I didn't know, but anyway.
Yeah, this specific issue, we will need to check it. And you're totally right. We spent a lot of time to make mobile chart better, and we are going to spend even more efforts in this direction. So the biggest issue that mobile chart and mobile application is totally different from user experience standpoint, and practically you need to implement another application with different use case, and we will assign a separate developer to this really soon. So as to the issue with multiple charts layout, I'll check it, Flipper. So probably, yeah, something tells me that in this case we display only one chart, because we designed the mobile version the way you are able to see only only most necessary information and data. So probably we just hide all the other charts from multiple layout.
Yeah, and that's it. And my main chart is basically a split screen one. So I got it on mobile. I was all excited. I was like, wow, everything is great. And then I couldn't switch between the two. So.
Yep. I'll check it for you.
All right, and I know you talked about market scanning, and since we're much more of a Bitcoin-specific trading group, would some of that market scanning include such things as maybe like we could scan to see if what time frames RSI is below 20 or something like that? Is that part of those scanning features? Because traditionally speaking, when I think of market scanners, it's kind of sorting through, thousands or tens of thousands of stocks to give you, maybe 5 or 10 that kind of fit the look or the setup that you want to play. What kind of additional scanning features do you think could be offered specifically to Bitcoin traders?
Well, I do like this question because it's really professional and it makes total sense. So first of all, we do not have a plan to implement traditional scanning as you describe it. So because there are so many competitors in this space, like Finviz, I don't know, Stockfetcher, blah blah blah. So like I do know at least a dozen of such tools which are online, and I'm not even considering desktop application. So from this perspective, we want to implement it completely different, and our biggest advantage would be, first of all, our scanner will be able to scan in any custom intraday time frame, and our scanner will allow you to create custom scanning criteria based on the custom client studies. So I believe this is exactly what are you asking about, and this is would be our biggest difference between existing scanners in the market. So it would be non-traditional stock scanner. It would be something really custom, which will allow you to do really unique searches.
Yeah, I mean, really, the possibilities are almost endless that I could come up with, and it's something that kind of just dawned on me as we were sitting here. Like I was discussing, kind of an indicator scanner, and then you could definitely partner that with some of the alerts. Those two things can work in conjunction with each other to bring, a higher level of experience. Just because I do say, like, many of us trade, Bitcoin heavily, but we do trade Forex. That's gotten a little bit more play now that we've been going sideways. So all these things are really great, and I'm glad to hear that you're taking a much different approach to the screening process, because I think it's been very cookie cutter from what I've seen out of the listed space for so many years.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is how we see it. And again, I just do not see any reason to build the functionality which already in the market. So our scanner will be based on the client studies and custom time frames. So this would be our biggest advantage. And you're totally right. This would be really tightly connected to the alerts. So basically, the scanner would be the alerts to zero.
Yeah. There is, I don't know who added the one on the bottom of the Google document. I'm a little bit unclear, so I don't want to ask it. But if anybody knows who added
It was John.
it was okay. Bitcoin Airlog. Do you want to go over that last bit that you put into the Google Doc?
Oh, I didn't actually look at the Google Doc, but I think I know what you're talking about. I'm interested in having more power over the vector tools, more like a traditional drawing program. So basically, like for instance, you have the pattern tool where I can like create a copy of a certain pattern of the candles, and I can display that as bars or as lines. But I can stretch it left and right, but I can't stretch it vertically. I can't distort it. I can't rotate it, etc. Rotating isn't all that important in charts, but you know there are times where I've wanted to just be able to totally like customize a form, either a pattern or when I use the polygon tool, I'd like to be able to stretch the polygon that I made.
Well, good question, and it's a funny, but I am personally a huge fan of the drawing tool. So right now, TradingView, as I know, has the most extensive set of drawing tools, and I personally spent a lot of time to make it even better and more flexible. So from this perspective, I personally always set really high priority to all improvements in drawing tools. And for example, right now, we are going to implement additional functionality, which is layers. So you'll be able to choose, cool, like to create layers like in Photoshop and all this stuff. As to your specific request, for me, it makes sense, and we did receive the similar requests as well. But just to be sure that I understand you correctly, can I please ask you send me a message to the private chat so we can discuss it in further details? Because yeah, in these cases, details means everything. So I want to be sure that I understand you properly and understand your use case.
What's the private chat? I'm not sure what you mean.
Send it to on TradingView. If you go to the right side panel, there's a private message tab, and you should be able to send a message to admin. So in most cases, I do review this section. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
You know, I wanted to. We've had a lot of time to give you feedback, and I know you articulated the point of kind of setting priorities and being the being a good source of like what's going on in the Bitcoin space. Is there any other feedback or things that we can do to help you along the way? Because this is really a cooperative process. Because we love the product, we love the charts. And we want to see that grow and flourish. So what from us can we do to help as well?
Well, the biggest help for me would be in touch with you and like receive regular feedback on the priorities. And because like if we are speaking about Bitcoin market specifically, as I told you, unfortunately I do not have enough time to monitor it, to read on the news, to understand what's going on, what are the trends, like for example, what are the new exchanges, or like what are the new or modern tools. And if you guys can be in touch and inform me about this like features request on use, this would be really helpful, and from my side, I'll make sure that we implement and add these features for you as soon as possible, because we really value our Bitcoin community, and I really do not want to lose this momentum. So, and the only way for me to keep this momentum is to be in touch with you and to receive all this information and feedback from you. I do understand that probably this is like too general. If we are speaking about specific steps, so we can easily start from the list of priorities for the exchanges. This is what we discussed. This would help us to save some time and to manage your expectations much better than now.
Yeah, and we have Dylan Lowstrife, one of the TradingView moderators here. So obviously there's a direct link. We all sit on TradingView chat. We have our other chats as well, but the communities are very integrated as far as that goes. But Lowstrife, do you have anything? I know you came in a little late, but is there anything you have to provide as well?
I've been speaking with a lot of people, on the
Your mic is really soft, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
Yep, try and speak directly into it.
Yeah. I've been speaking with a lot of people on the sidelines for features and things that they've wanted to have, and a lot of this is more like an informal list, but ever since we sort of got the discussion going about a week ago, I've been thinking and brainstorming, but one of the things that came up is possibly having charts for the really crazy traders, but who want second tick charts, because I know we have charts that go down to the 1 minute time frame, but some people made mention of wanting charts that go down to the second time frame. Like you can have pips, to go really finely into the action there, and also for having order books integrated into the platform as well. Whether or not if that's going to be possible.
Yeah. Okay. So as to the second. The main issue that if we want to implement custom seconds intervals, like any of them, like 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 7 seconds, these bars need to be created based on the tick data. And for the server side, for the backend, this requirements is pretty bad from the performance standpoint. So if we need second tick data, we need most of the exchanges, and including Bitcoin, stock, and futures exchanges, most of the brokers, they do not provide historical tick data. And for us, this means that we need to manage and to save and to keep this data on our backend. And every time somebody requests custom second interval, and by the way, it could be not only second bars, it could be range bars, it could be like tick bars. For example, create me like 10 tick bars. So I do know that this type of intervals is used by professionals and might be popular, but at this stage for us, it's pretty hard to implement it because of the really performance issues on the back end. So probably we will do it sometimes, but there is no estimation on this. As to the what was the second question?
It was about order books. I know some exchanges or some brokers have you pay for order books, but is there any way that you could integrate even a paid functionality for order books?
Yeah. By the way, this is one of the questions I need your input on. So I do not trade Bitcoin specifically, and I have no idea how do you guys use order book or market depth, or maybe you need time and sales or whatever. So I do see all these tools on the Bitcoin Wisdom, for example, but I personally do not know if these tools are necessary, and we never received enough requests on these features. So if these features are unnecessary or required, it's pretty easy for us to implement it, but I just need to understand how to do it and what is the the proper way to do it, maybe based on the example of existing tool or whatever. So this is good example of what kind of information, which is Bitcoin specific, I probably need from you.
Yeah, Airlog, do you want to come in on that?
I do. I'll give you a good example of why we would be interested in order book information. It wouldn't necessarily be for the live info like you see on, Bitcoin Wisdom and such. It would be because historical info. In other words, if we could look at bid book depth over time in relation to price, if we can start charting, trend lines and bid depth or bid, yeah, just bid depth is one that I'm interested in. I think that's the easiest example. If we had a history of bid depth, we could start relating that to price and action.
I would also add too, although not a priority, there's also an element of I've seen some other services do. I think back to the old Clark Moody days, and they had a product called was it RTBTC, and they actually would do alerts based upon when a certain size bid or ask order appeared, like if it was over 500 bitcoins. So that would be another possibility for an expansion on the alert service, is to have that order book. You could have an alert detect when, X said block appears or such like that. It's up. I mean, I don't know if I would use that a lot. Some people would. I've heard other places that have integrated that.
I could see this also integrating for when you want to implement trading through your platform. You could have alerts for bid depth. Say you're a big player and you're looking for, some liquidity at the top of the book. You get an alert that tells you there's a 500 bid and you want to sell into it. It'll be there for you. You'll know the alert. I mean, I'll admit, like Vic says, these are a little bit of a fringe, but I do definitely have an interest in order book depth and over time. That would be the only one that I could think of off the top of my head. To go back to a totally different topic, not back to, but to add something in, I'm not sure if it would have fit somewhere else, is I'd like to see the ability to look at a chart by specifying a date time frame. So if I want to go back to June 2013 on the 5-minute, I can.
I would actually like to say that I would like to see this as well. This is something that I think it's called Bitcoin Charts or something like that. There's only one website that I've ever found that lets you go back and, like you said, pick a specific date and look at the 5-minute or look at the 1-minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to add in. I want to see that too.
And it's just a pain in the ass. Like if you want to go back in time, you've got to do all this scrolling by hand. You have to move the whole chart over to get there. And then it might not even be there when you get there.
Yeah, it might even be too far back.
Constantine?
Yeah, this is one of the most requested features actually, and I think we will add it soon. The only reason why we haven't had a chance to implement it is that there are some technical limitations, but we will make it possible for sure. So yeah, I added this to my notes, and I'll set the highest priority to this request.
While we're on that, Constantine, I mean, I was loading Quandl data before. Quandl have been absolutely useless lately. I've been trying to import, say, like the Bitfinex swap data into Quandl, and they're doing some database migration, so they can't get anything into Quandl. But which kind of like brings me on to two things really. The first thing is if you load data which like runs well into the future, I mentioned before that we couldn't see that future data. It would only load up to where the current chart, candlestick was, even though the Quandl data, runs much further into the future. And then the other thing was, so we're talking about this, and me and John were also saying this kind of ties in with what you were saying, talking about how managing data feeds. I mean, really, like, is there not some way that we can actually manage the feeds on the site ourselves? Like, can we just not add exchanges ourselves? Add the data.
Yeah, like put the fields in a pop-up window, whatever fields you need to be satisfied to be able to pull data, and let us enter in the sockets or whatever, wherever we can pull the data from, even if or upload a file.
And I think the continuation to that, the best part of that I liked was when John said, he said, I never want to have to run into the trouble of saying, oh, I really wish I could chart this data, but I can't. And I thought that was really good. It's like, there's an exchange out there, it's really good, but I just can't do it right now, and I've got to like wait for you. But I don't want to wait for you. I'll do it myself if I can. So, maybe some way to empower users to do that more. I mean, I know we've got Quandle at the moment, but,
Yeah, I do understand what you mean. And as to this functionality, so if you guys think that it's important and critical to have, for us, we can actually open an API which allows you to feed your own data. So technically this is possible, and we even have internal discussion about this. I never knew that it's really like there is a high demand on this functionality, because on like in our feedback forms we never received a lot of requests on this. But if you think it's important, I'll talk to developers and we can make it possible. So from this perspective, I think that it would be really great if we can like start moving towards the open platform. So open trading API, open data API, so you can feed us with any data feed you want.
Yeah, and do you know what? For Bitcoin especially, that's really key, because there's a lot of data that's coming through with Bitcoin all the time, constantly. Like the Finex swap data is changing all the time. Transaction count is constantly rolling, and people love to have it on their charts. And Quandle, they're rubbish. I mean, they're just terrible, and they don't seem to care or understand anything. So yeah, if we could just plug that data straight, so anybody can then just load up the Finex swap data live, real time, from the daily to the 5 minute, then yeah, I think I would be interested in importing that Finex data into TradingView. I'm sure other people would be interested in importing their data sets as well. So yeah, I think open data, open standards, all that stuff's good talk.
Yeah, I think that empowerment aspect is the huge part, because Bitcoiners in general and the Bitcoin trader community, which is very heavy tech and savvy, they're data whores. So anything that can or has the ability to be charted or quantified in some metric, they want to do something with it if they're given the tools to do it with.
Okay, got it.
One more quick comment on this topic about charting into the future and such. One thing that really annoys me, that I'm sure is something you guys could easily fix, is you can only see the date and time when you hover over a bar, if it's current or in the past. If you move to the right, you can't see the time. So if you start drawing lines into the future, you can't actually hover over them to see when in the future they land at. Like if I hover over the current 4-hour bar, it tells me what time the 4-hour bar started. But if I go to the next bar, it doesn't tell me the time, or the bar after that. I have to count by hand by every tick I move the mouse.
Okay, I think I do understand what you mean, but can I please ask you send me a message about this via the private message? So let's talk about this additional. Yeah, thank you very much.
I do have one thing to add, though. It was sort of what we were talking just about a second ago, but it's more of the ease of use of the site. But it's tough to find all of the features that are possible in TradingView. Like, yes, we all know it's possible to import Quandle data, but I can mention it in the chat, and a lot of the people have no idea where I got that data set from. And I'd say the majority of the users on the site don't even know that quandle data is able to be imported. And I'm just using that as an example, but I'm sure there's a lot of features on the site that many people, including myself, probably don't even know are possible. But there's no unified way to express saying this is possible, that is possible, or there's no unified way to show of what the whole platform is capable of from within the trading window. You have to go to blog posts or you have to go to some other, resource to be able to figure all this out. Is there any way we could like consolidate um, almost like a user guide, but more of a feature list of what the platform is capable of? Maybe like clear up a lot of the make it a lot more usable and a lot more open to see what it's capable of, especially when we're adding features all the time.
Well, from this perspective, my personal opinion is that if you are not aware about some features, this means that we implemented these features badly. So, and what Flibber explained lately on this call, a good example. So we did implement features to hide study titles, but we implemented the way that it was really hard to find it. So the similar with quandle data. So from this perspective, I do understand your concern, and I fully agree on this. But instead of spending time on documentation, and based on my experience, people do not read it usually, I would rather spend it to improve usability and user experience. And you gave really good example. So this is what we really need to do with quandle data, because right now in the user interface, until you read the blog post, there is no way to understand it, how to do it from the user interface or find it in the user interface. So I would really like if you guys report me about such issues, and I'll make sure that we improve the experience other than create like books with description of our features.
Yeah, I think that can be a user-driven aspect too. Is the guides and stuff. I think a lot of times people get very overwhelmed by them. They see them and go, "Oh, there's 20 pages here. I don't want to read through that," or they just kind of avoid it directly. But there's also just the aspect of people making videos that are very specific for that, and that's just user-driven. I don't think that's necessarily something that needs to come out of the site. So it's just a thought there.
Yeah, completely agree. Guys, I sorry for interrupting, but right now I'm already late on the next meeting I'm having right now. So could you please, and we can easily continue this discussion like tomorrow or at any convenient for your time. So I really need to run on the other meeting. Sorry about this.
No, that's all good, and we'll wrap it up right there. I just want to thank our panel for coming on and giving you the feedback, and as always, Constantine, thanks for coming on and interacting with the Bitcoin community. So we hope to meet up with you again in the very near future and continue this discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's do it on a regular basis. It's a great pleasure for me, and I do believe that it's great value for the product in general. So you guys are really helpful.